Good morning, everybody. First, I think I will just finish the remaining part of the first chapter of the Poa Ishe Sangtal. There are two small chapters. One is the main, the Poa, and then another one that the last days we have been talking about, the reminder, instructions of a reminder of the Poa and Pardo. So now, in this main part of the Poa, we already explained the actual practice, training of the Poa practice, and then how to perform actually when the Poa, when one faces the death. So that we already explained. And then after that, here is referred that the practitioner or the person should be also recognize and remember the process of the dissolution or the disintegration of the elements. And then when one face this, one should recognize. So this here in this part, just give the reference of that. Then we went detail of this already the last days. Here says, during that time, if possible, sit in the meditation posture. If not, then upright position. So at least one should keep in the lion sleeping posture. With this position, one should, if one can, one should do their own power practice. If not, then somebody can help to do the power practice, also remind the instructions, etc. So we already explained. And basically we already explained all these things. It is not much differences. But however, since it is here in this part, I will just read through this. Then one should get, so if one needs instructions, then by either one's lama or one's friends, spiritual friends, should give these instructions in this way. The noble son or child, I am going to explain you the absolute meaning here. So listen with single concentration, with your concentration. This is the time that your mind and body that has come together, combined due to your karma, is now parting, and you are, changing your mind, departing this mind from the body. Therefore, you should deeply generate kind of like the pure state of the Rigpa. So deeply generate means basically to be aware of the pure state of the Rigpa, which is a remedy. So now this is talking to someone who has experience, who has the knowledge of these practices. So it should be reminded in this way. Leave all the senses clearly and mind without following after them, so that everything will become remain as like a mist or kind of appearance is there without having any graspings. Don't attach to any of one's belongings, such as food, wealth, property, relatives, anyone. Don't cling and don't attach any of these things.
Do posiadania, do krewnych, do jedzenia, do wszystkiego, co posiadałeś.
So, attachment is the cause of the samsara. By thinking in this way, in order to cut, close the door to be born into the the three realms, I am leaving, casting this illusory body, having casted this illusory body, I must obtain the state of enlightenment or Buddhahood. Thereby, I would guide and help all the sentient beings to liberate from their sufferings and pains of samsara. Like that. So basically, you should not attach to anything. There is no point of getting attached. At the point of the death, one should not be reminded of any conditions that one can get attachment. So the person who is dying should not attach to anything. Food, wealth, relatives, families, whatever is there. So there is no choice other than just leave behind. So then just getting attached will bring more pain, no more benefit. So therefore one should be able to completely be non-attached. And then instead one should engage with the thought of refuge and bodhicitta. So bodhicitta, for example, now I am leaving this body, illusory body. So without attachment, I would cast it out. And after this, may I attain Buddhahood, enlightenment or liberation, so that I can help all the sentient beings to liberate from their pains and sufferings. Like this. And then, such thoughts, intention should be generated and engaged with. And then also, if one is possible, one can visualize and feel in front of you, the person in the space, one's Lama or Idam deities or Buddhas, whatever is convenient, whatever one feels more connected and one feels more trust and confidence with. And then generate a strong devotion and do the single-pointedly prayer, do pray for the protection and their support, so that your transition of your death and the transition of the Pardo would be peaceful and without any confusions and sufferings or pains, and that you would get better rebirth, or if possible complete liberation, if not better rebirth. So through this, then you will again continuously practice connect with the practice and to eventually get enlightenment, etc. Like that kind of intention and refuge should be generated. And then also generate a strong sense of compassion by thinking and reflecting about the suffering and pains of the sentient beings. Or sometimes when oneself goes through certain situation, that reflects also same condition to other people, other beings who are in the similar situation. By thinking this, you can feel compassion like that. And then also one can think in this way. Dagi juluji, julu mizawi teji kurvi jus. My own body, this illusory body, which is like a support of all kind of impurities and the cause of all kind of samsaric conditions, and the aggregates of all kind of obscurations. If we think this illusory body, this material body, if we think from the positive side, of course we can think many things. This is the body. This is like usually we say, Tanjo give it to like a boat of the virtuous activities. This material body is a medium, is a boat. If you have to cross a river, you need a boat. So with this boat, you can cross the river. So the samsara is like a big river. And then in order to cross the samsara, to liberate, to go away from the samsara, then you need like a boat. So this body is like boat. With support of this, we can cross our samsaric conditions, samsara. Because with this body, we have possibility to do our practices, to do listening the teachings of Buddha, meditate, practice, all this, favorable, with the favorable conditions, with this human body. So as long as we live, we should also take care of this, not just only out of the ego grasping and fulfillment of ego mind, but as a taking care of like the boat. If you take care of the boat, so you will safely cross the river, like that. But in another hand, the body is the one that is like a focal point of our ego grasping. As long as we have this body has become the focal point of our ego. Whenever we do, whatever we think, everything is referred to body. So therefore, this is in like support of impurities. If you think, on the other hand, the body is full of so many impurities, and this is the support where all the disease develops. All the pains and all the sicknesses also develop in this body. And Mizaweteji, Dripipumbo, like aggregates of all the obscurations. There's layers and layers of obscurations kind of accumulated in our body. So because of this, we are unable to experience pure dimension of our own, and we are limited ourselves with many ways because of this physical body. So therefore, now this is the time I leave this physical body. I am kind of like free from, as long as our body is with our mind is in our body, his mind is like imprisoned in the body. So mind is limited. So now you are just leaving this body, and it's like you are kind of like getting free from the, the prison of the body. What do you think? One should feel sense of joy of leaving this body. Can you do this? I understand this is not easy. Nobody would feel leaving a joy. So if one has very strong confidence in one's practice, then one would automatically feel this. So behind this body, beyond this body, one can, something bigger and something purer situation is waiting, looks like, for you. So like you reunite with your origin, on the base. It's like that. But anyway, this is the one thing that if one can, another way of thinking, So always there's two aspects. Positive aspect way of thinking, negative aspect way of thinking. So if in terms of our body, negatively thinking, not really negative, but one fact, this is limited, this is just material, it's just impermanent, always changing. Since your birth till now, how much you have changed. Every moment we are changing. Then developing so many different kind of problems, so many things. So we cannot rely on this. Can you rely on your body? Your body is not your completeness of yourself. So we cannot expect this body will be forever. Anyway, it will not be forever. So we have to leave it. So after leaving, what will happen? Now this depends on our situation, understanding and our practice, many things, of course. So anyway, here gives the advice, someone who is a practitioner and who has certain extent of confidence in one's practice, then this is like a changing of new kind of getting a new house or new apartment. You feel bored with your old apartment. You lived there for many years. And you don't feel any more comfortable or excited. Maybe you change. You find a new place. Like it is a little bit like that. So now we are getting a big change. So one should think in that way. So this is mainly meant for the practitioners, who has this. Otherwise it is not so easy. How wonderful, how happy I am, how exciting it is. Think in that way, generate such thought. So it will help to reduce pain and suffering of losing your body in a way. But then sometimes there's another extreme. Some people are happy to change body, so even they are ready to take suicide. What do you call this?
Euthanasia.
Euthanasia. Two things. One is totally out of ignorance, without knowing the situation. Or another one is with the total confidence and with the full awareness of the one situation. And then also, now here we refer to the practice of power. Then one should imagine, from crown till the sacred place, one should imagine the empty basically, with the central channel which opens from here, then completely hollow, should open and hollow. And then, like in the space, one should imagine whatever Yidam deities or master whom one has more devotions and trust should be visualized. So if one is more familiar with the Shelaoka or Kundasangbo or Tabiritsa or any other Yidam deities, if one is familiar with Sherab Chama, then one can also visualize Sherab Chama. And then on the heart level, one should imagine this one's own Rigpa in the form of letter R. And then at the crown of your head, just at the top of the crown, at the opening of the central channel, imagine another letter R. So it is similar, except on the top in the space, instead of R, you visualize Lama or Yidam deity, whatever. If you are familiar or used with Shelaokar, you imagine Shelaokar. If you are familiar with Tabiritsa, you imagine Tabiritsa. Or if you are familiar with, more connected with the Sherab Chama, or Yidam Meri, wrathful, peaceful, whatever you are familiar with and more feel connected, you should visualize that. So normally, when we talk about Dharmakaya Pova and Sambhogakaya Pova, Nimanakaya Pova, etc. So now this is when you visualize the divinity, form of divinity or something in the space, and then dissolving your consciousness in the state of that divinity. This is more like a Sambhogakaya way. So you are kind of something visible, divinities you visualize. And then focusing on the R at the heart level, then of course these prayers, if you can, you do generate a refuge and strong prayer. And then you express the sound of Hik 21 times. You send the R as the essence of your Rigpa through the central channel, dissolved to the R at the crown level. And then another 21 times of Hik. So this R goes up and dissolved to the heart of the Yidam deity, Yidam or Lama, whatever you have visualized there, integrate totally. So when this R from heart goes up here, then all the channels, the lower part of the channel is completely closed, you should imagine. So once these are at the crown, dissolved to the heart of the Yidam deity, and then this Yidam deity is also spontaneously dissolved. And imagine that it is enlightened in the, normally we say, Pöniji Yingsu, Omi Yingsu. Omi Yingsu, Omi is in Sanskrit we say, Kanishta. So the highest of the
Paradise.
Paradise? Yeah.
Something like this.
If there is a paradise, yes.
I don't know. I never
You think there is a paradise? If there is a paradise, there should be hell also. You think there is a hell? Or you like to accept paradise, not accept hell? Many people think like that. There are many more detailed lot of things we can explain about the Akanista, things like that. But anyway, so we can just keep. So basically, this Idam deity is spontaneously dissolved and enlightened in the state of the, you can say, nature of the mind. That is the actual absolute Akanista. Yeah, relative Akanista is still samsara. According to the sutra system, one cannot attain enlightenment, Buddhahood, with body of desire ram. We can develop paths, and then you gradually, before getting enlightenment, one must take rebirth into Akanista. And then only in the Akanista realm one can get enlightened. That is according to Sutra system. Mm-hmm. Okay. So anyway, so we don't need to go details of these things. According to Dzogchen, you can get enlightened within this very body, material body, if you work hard. Okay, yeah, so that is the one thing. Rigpa chiwar tola, higda tapu chishi chaos, one should also, if that person is also able to listen and understand, you should also tell them, Rigpa chiwar tola, focusing one's Rigpa awareness towards crown of head, and then strongly say hik. You should tell to the person also to do like that, thinking that all your awareness and consciousness is dissolving from here. Moreover, tu tata chela pumbi nandu marme tsupata Rigpa tang tale wasale yopa kanlaya maje machi tempa mambu tundu majes. So one should also tell that presently inside you, there is your own Rigpa, like a butter lamp placed in a vase. If a butter lamp or lamp placed in the vase, when you look from outside, you don't see any. But even if you don't see the light from outside, but inside of the vase is luminous, always, because the lamp is there. So like this, your own Rigpa inside your body is very clear and luminous, but don't get attached and cling to anything and anywhere. Don't elaborate any thoughts and graspings about past, present, or future situations. Rigpa Timetsada Jamba shows, leave your Rigpa awareness pure, in the pure state, without root. Without root means without having any kind of reference point. And Jambasho, nakedly. Nakedly means without being kind of the influence of any kind of conceptions, conceptual mind. Then in your vision right now can have manifest various of lights, colors. Light with various of colors will manifest and may be manifesting now. All of this has not arisen from anywhere else. These are your own natural light of your own Rigpa or awareness. Such light will also arise in the future, near future, in the pardo of clear light. So therefore, you should know or realize this as a self-manifested light of self-manifestation, manifested, manifestation of the Rigpa and the illusion. And don't attach, don't cling on them. So now in the dying process time, you also experience the light, which is natural light. Similar light will also arise in the pardo of clear light. So they are all same quality. Maybe there can be different kind of, situation, but basically they are same. So whichever condition, one should not attach, one should not grasp on any of these light or visions or anything one experience. Then again in your vision there may be many rays, vision of rays, like rays of the sun, or like rainbows in the space, or like colorful like figures, like brocade, very bright and different kind of figures, appearances may come. These are not manifested from elsewhere, but your own natural dimension of your own Rigpa. And similarly, these kind of things will arise in the Pardo time. When you say Pardo of clear light, one should recognize this as a self-manifestation of the Rigpa, without clinging, without following after them, without getting attached. Without getting attached, also without being afraid, of these things. Then again, in your vision, you may experience many strong, different kind of sounds, like a sound of collapse of the mountain, not mountain collapse, but like very strong sound like that, or like a sound of earthquake, or like rocks being breaking, like very roaring and very strong sounds may come. Don't get afraid of them. Don't be panic. So they are not apart from you, and they are just self-manifestation of your own Rigpa or awareness. Then, moreover, one should generate the practice of devotion, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, refuge, etc. Whatever practice is appropriate, if one can do, one should, it is necessary to do. So if the dying person is difficult to do, then normally at that moment, the person who are behind, family or friends, should engage with many different practices, such as these things: refuge, bodhicitta, compassion, and then any other practices. So these instructions should be given even just by calling from one's ear. So as a sign of the power being success, one can, like the lumps on the crown, or one may hear like sound of like cracking bones, having like some steams coming up, the warmth, special warmth also, or some kind of sensations, etc. So if the power is success, the best result would be one can get enlightenment without Pardo. At least as a result of the power, one can take a rebirth where we can say like a good and appropriate rebirth. And then through this birth, one can continue practice and eventually attain the enlightenment. Okay, so these are the instructions. It is finished. Written by Tujawa Yungro, this part. So I will read this text as a transmission.
Udzielę przekazu.
Basically, you have the translation of this text. I think it is not so many, just few pages. You should read through carefully, try to understand. File I gave you. Yeah, English you can, those who can read English, I think it is better. Yeah, translation has been made very closely to the text, so I think it is accurate. Okay. Okay, so now I have given you the transmission of power practice according to the Ati cycle, which is referred in this Hard Drops of Dharmakaya text. So now all the power practices mainly at the point of the Pardo of point of the death. We talk about Pardo of lifetime, Pardo of the point of death, Shiki Pardo, then Peniji Pardo of the clear light. Pardo of the clear light, then after this death, then one will face first like Kata Prangu Pardo of Dharmakaya. If the great practitioners can liberate from there, Dzogchen practitioner. Pardo of Dharmakaya is a state. For a practitioner, Dzogchen practitioner, this is nothing else but your consciousness remains completely, purely in the non-conceptual state it's a non-conceptual state. It's without any obscuration. Usually we have physical obscuration. Then we have conceptual obscurations. Then we have emotional obscurations. All there's a different layers of obscuration. Now physical body is completely disconnected from your mind. So the mind is no more, dependent with the physical body. And then all the conceptions, this we call the emotions, conceptual, movements of the thoughts, everything is dissolved back to their original condition, kuishi, the natural state. So there only at that moment, your being is just as a state of non-conceptual nature of the mind. So you are actually there. But for both those who are unfamiliar with this, and then this is like an unconscious state. So no idea what it is. So those who have that experience, one can actually, that is the not different than your normal, meditative state of the textual practice. Even without having these visions, spontaneous dynamic, the manifestation of the dynamic energies. It's a completely, pure non-conceptual state. So this can remain various, it can remain just for a few moments, or like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Usually, averagely, we say 3 to 4 days. So some text explains like 5 days, 2 to 5 days. So this depends on the situation. And then from there, after some time, spontaneously this manifestation of the clear lights, this in the form of these three visions, sound, light, rays, as a dynamic energy of the Rigpa occurs spontaneously. No plan, no any particular cause and conditions, so it just manifests spontaneously. So then, again, if one who are very much familiar with the practice, then just by this lights experience, even if one cannot recognize the Kada Pungu Pardo, then because of this manifestation of the light can cause them to recognize the situation. So one may get liberation there. Understanding, recognizing these lights, rays and sound are self-manifestation of the Rigpa. So they would not be conceptualized. Whatever visions occur, the such practitioner could, if they manage, they could see them empty form, manifestation like illusion, like empty form. That is a recognition of this form, the manifestations as the self-manifestation of the Rigpa. Self-manifested light, self-manifested rays, self-manifested sound of the Rigpa. Without conceptually, saying like, oh, this is self-manifestation, this is sound of Rigpa or light of Rigpa. Automatically, one can have that recognition. So if one couldn't recognize that, then grasping occurs. Subtle grasping occurs that sees that kind of then automatically cause the rise of what you call the dualistic, notion and dualistic graspings. So seeing these visions as something objective out there, and you are seeing it, then that is already delusion. Ignorance is already occurred. So anyway, now the rest of this remaining part of the Pardo instruction here, in the stage of Pardo natural state, which is Pardo of Dharmakaya and Pardo of clear light, the practitioners who are familiar with the Dzogchen meditation, familiar with the Thogal practice, then can experience various of different stages of the lights, manifestation of the light. Then one can realize. One stage, if one cannot realize on the first stage, maybe next stage, if not next stage. So these manifestations, different stages of the lights and movements of these things, dimension of the lights can occur, not necessarily taking long time between each. When we read the text, looks like one after the another, looks like having a lot of time. Not necessarily. It can be like one moment after moment. So it can be like this. That anyway, there is so many details explained. Probably you have seen some of the paintings, on the Tögal paintings. The practitioner seeing different divinities or tigles going up, above the crown, or like 5 stakes or 9 stakes, right side, left side, like divinities being heart of the divinities and heart of the practitioner being connected with the like a light rays. Have you seen these kind of paintings? I think paintings, everybody are very much familiar with these things. Yeah, this is one of them connected. But particularly when this Pardo time, there's a special, one can have that kind of experience. So all these kind of things can occur. But these things only for the practitioner of the Tögals can experience those things, but ordinary people may not experience those things. Maybe there are so many lights and so many movements can be experienced, but those who are familiar with the Tögal practice, they have some development in the Tögal stages, can experience extraordinary visions in the Pardo, so which can become like reminder of one's practice. These are explained. I skip those explanation of all these things because it is a little bit complicated and also it is like telling of story. So basically, important thing is that we recognize these 3 Pardo stages. Then once one fails, if one fails to recognize all these stages, practitioners, how much stages, the 5 stages or 4 stages of Tögal practice, when we do train Tögal, there's a different stage, of the vision. So depending on what stage you have been trained, what you have achieved, one can have that much level of, in the Pardo time, one can experience. So at least we say, if one fails to recognize, to have realization in the Pardo time, then one can experience, one can see this is the Pardo. So now I must take rebirth in the, we called naturally manifested realm. So Rangshi Tripikul, there one can take rebirth in miraculous rebirth, and there for 500 years one continues practice and then can get enlightenment. Something like that. That is explained. But ordinary people, then these visions can come. The best thing is that don't get attached, don't be afraid, and but not afraid, not being attached. Then one can have little bit peaceful transition, more positive way, so they can get appropriate rebirth according to their karma. If one is too much disturbed, too much afraid, then that can lead, even one has a good karma to rebirth, because of the secondary circumstances that causes a lot of disturbances that can trigger the negative, karma that one can, that leads to the, a lower rebirth. So like that. So therefore, important thing is that at the point of the death, we must be calm, peaceful, engage with the positive thoughts, practice if one is practitioner, if not, try to create good circumstances so that they would not feel too negative, too much mind or emotions are not too much disturbed, so one can feel more natural, more calm. So this is important, and this impact a lot in the process of the next stage. Should I say continuously? Those who have not realized these visions, become again, due to grasping, they become grosser and grosser and develop. And then we develop the pardo of, we say, existence. Parosipi pardo of rebirth or pardo of existence. So one start to take a rebirth. So pardo of existence is like one, whatever lifespan it lasts, the first half have feeling of this previous life. If one dies from this life, so as a human, and then the first, if the part of existence stays like 7 days, first 3.5 days, let's say like that, is having feeling of like a human, like due to this previous life's karma and memory. And then another second half, then one start to feel the life that the person is going to take rebirth. If he is going to be born in Deva realm, maybe he feels like Deva. If he may feel born like a fish, maybe he will have more feeling of like a fish. And so, of course, there's a lot of things, situations can be there. So therefore, during this time, average lifespan of pardo, we say, is 7 weeks. So therefore, yesterday we say 49 days, 7 weeks time, one must engage with the different practices, so supporting to the dead person. So within this 49 days, one is should be able to take rebirth. So before one takes rebirth, so if as much as practice support we do, that can impact that person. So it can help one to get better transition, more clear path, maybe better rebirth, to connecting and to, we can say enhancing his positive karmic traces. So because of this, we create positive circumstances by practicing, doing, different kind of purification practices or positive, virtuous activities. So that can, dedicating to the person, can help to boost or to trigger his positive karmic traces that can cause better rebirth, impact the situation. So that is the idea. During the 49 days we do our practice and support. Of course, some people may take rebirth in just 1 week or 2 weeks. This we never know. But 49 days is the average lifespan of the pardo. And some pardo can remain aeons and aeons also. So these are exceptional. Okay, I think we should stop here.
But how long will be the break?
15-20 minutes.
15 or 20?
Whatever you like. We should do one ishe one more. Ishe musidena. Matuzum sanjish mangole madong. We should do ishe one more prayer 5 times. Then after that, do you have the long life prayer of Yongzi Rinpoche?
W tekstach?
Long version, if you have long version.
Najlepsza byłaby długa
Many years ago
wersja.
we did long version.
There is only a short version.
Okay, then we can say short version 3 times. So, sumdongche, tene shom char sumde, char ngade, tene rompa shongachi. We have tongde, okay. Now we will say the long life prayer of Yongzi Rinpoche 3 times, short version, right? Do you have the prayer of His Holiness 33rd? Ramjam Chochu. Emma Ramjam Chochu. Do you have? You know by heart? Okay, so tomorrow is his commemoration day of his parinirvana. Tomorrow. So since everybody is living today, so we can say 3 times of his prayer,
Więc
His Holiness. And then tomorrow when you go back, maybe in your home you can say prayers, do Guru Yogas, whatever practice you feel like. It will be good remembering him and pray to him. So now we are going to do dedication. Whatever merits that we may have accumulated through this retreat and this practice and these prayers. So we shall dedicate this for the benefit of all the sentient beings and all the people, all the practitioners, for their progress of their practice, liberation of their obstacles, finally to get enlightenment in the natural state.
Because I wanted to say a few words about Rinpoche, because Rinpoche has been coming to Poland for many, many years, more than 20 years.
Yes,
And
very old.
supporting us as practitioners and supporting our organization, Ligmincha. So I was thinking how we can repay the kindness and somehow help Rinpoche in his projects. So I just wanted to say a few words what Rinpoche is doing, and maybe Rinpoche will add something to that. Rinpoche is the abbot of monastery in Nepal, in Kathmandu, Tritanarbutsa. They have 2 schools there, dialectic school and meditation school. The monks and nuns, they go through both good training in theory and practice. Rinpoche is traveling around the world and teaching many different places, and especially has a center in France, Shenzhen, Darjeeling. And in the last years, he has been developing a school for children from Himalayan regions. And because in these regions like Dolpo, like our Gisela, Geshe Gyatso is from Dolpo, it's a part of Nepal. So in these different regions, the situation of Tibetans is not easy, because often these are a part of other countries like Nepal or India. So the governments build schools, and these schools have, for example, Nepali language, Nepali culture, Nepali education. And Tibetans are worried about losing their own culture. If they don't preserve it well, maybe next generation will not speak Tibetan, will not continue this culture. So they are trying to build their own schools, and this is one of such projects. The Rinpoche built a school in Siliguri. Tibetan children can learn own culture. Also, often these children are from poor families, so they need support. And I don't know how many children your Rinpoche have now.
138
138.
for the moment.
Jakieś 148 dzieciaków. Do you want Rinpoche to add?
Okay, I can.
So Jarek also said to mention that there's also in Tritanarbutsa the project to have like new temple. I think it's called Lakang, you call it?
Yeah.
Because here we call it Gompa, some kind of our own word
It's
for
the house of the deities.
So the Lakang means house of deity, and now it's because when the monastery started, I think 35 years ago, was a small group
87, yeah.
small group of monks, and now I guess around 200 monks. So they don't fit in old Lakang, so they are building new temples. So it's also, I think, a lot of work. So I think there's also information then on the our board, and then maybe we'll send some information. Then if some people want to financially support these projects, then can flourish.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for giving this opportunity to share a little bit about our situation. So most of you know Tritanarbutsa Monastery, situated in Kathmandu. This is the only Burn monastery in Kathmandu Valley and biggest Burn monastery in Nepal. So actually, Tritanarbutsa, we have more than 200 monks living and studying for the moment. Rinpoche started this in Yongzi Rinpoche started this after establishing all the system and reinstallation of all the educations in Mary Monastery in India. Rinpoche moved to Kathmandu. Somehow he started this project of the new monastery in Kathmandu that he had a dream for since many years. Actually, he started to think about that since 1977. Anyway, so it was started in 1987, as he said, just with few monks, and Rinpoche planned to. He didn't think this monastery to be a very big one, so he thought about 40 to 50 monks So basically he established this to facilitate the Pambos native Pambos who are in Nepal. So as you know, in Tolpo, in Mustang, and all the Himalayan borderlands areas in Nepal, there are Pambos for thousands of years. It's very historical. However, the Kathmandu Valley, this is the first. So Kathmandu being the center of the country and also connecting to the international countries, many different places, and also being very much close to the Tibet, located in India and Tibet, especially close to Tibet, and also having the historical connection between Nepal and Tibet. Before there was many Tibetans would come to Nepal for pilgrimage, and many Tibetans who lives in the western part of Tibet come to Nepal during the winter time for trading, many different reasons. So there's always a lot of connections are there. So Rinpoche thought it is very important to have a monastery. And also we have connection with the Swayambhunath stupa, which is very famous stupa in one of the three stupas. So in Pambos we have our own connection, believing this was blessed by the Buddha Tomba Sherab. So many reasons Rinpoche is so importance of establishing a monastery there. So he started very humble way, one building with the 3 rooms, because he didn't have financial means. Actually, he just thought and doing like this. And then he started very humble way. Actually, the land was purchased on the loan, some local people loan, and then built one building with only 3 rooms. And then step by step, he started to build. Then monks, of course, Rinpoche started to move there more often, staying there. Started in the beginning of 90s, 1990, 1991, around this time. More and more monks came. Slowly, the Gomba become bigger and bigger. So up to now, so we have 200 monks studying, and same system that we have in Mary Monastery, Geshe programs, meditation schools, and Geshe programs up to now many Geshes, more than 70, nearly 80 Geshes have been already graduated. More than 100 monks have been graduated from the meditation school, and not more than 100, 60, 70 monks from the meditation school. Now, for example, this coming Losar, we are having like 18 Geshes to be graduated. Last year, 18 monks were graduated from meditation school. In addition to this, we have also a traditional medical school, which was initially started in Dorpaten, which is a Tibetan settlement, one of the earliest Tibetan settlement, refugee settlement in West Nepal. This is a settlement where I was born myself. So there was started by one of our, under the supervisions and advice of Yongzi Rinpoche and His Holiness Mary Tinzi. So one of the elderly monk, Tibetan, very good Tibetan medicine practitioner called Amji Tsutim Sanje, So he started this in Dorpaten, 1990s, 89 or 90s, like that. Many years he ran that there. So in between there was a lot of problems in, in Nepal. There was a moment, a lot of problems with caused by the Maoist, problem. At that time we felt that to relocate the school in Kathmandu, so near our monastery. So then monastery started to adopt this school. So since then we have this Tibetan medical school, which is still partly runs in the Dorpaten, but mainly it is based in Nepal, in Kathmandu. So monastery we have medical school, dialectic school, and meditation school. It is a lot of job and a lot of activities. Yes, so many things. And then, due to lack of the space, Kathmandu, our monastery land is not so big. It's on the steep, on the mountain, not so big. But we need to expand the capacity because more monks are there. Then not only we thought about the monks, but we thought all the practitioners, including our Western Sanghas. So usually we quite often think of organizing some teachings like there in the monastery, but lack of the facilities and space, we couldn't do it. We didn't have opportunity to do it. So thinking of all of these things to have a little bit more space, more possibilities, so we started this project of new temple, which was started at the beginning of 2020, just together with the COVID. So it is a big complex that includes a main temple where we can hopefully 100, 500 or 600 monks or people can be fit easily. And then some additional halls and classrooms, dining place and kind of new kitchen areas. And then, so altogether there are a lot of space. So this project has started there. It was planned like to finish within 18 months, but due to many circumstances, including COVID, we couldn't finish. But however, the main structure is now finished. So I saw this morning, there's outside, there's a plan is there, so you can see. So now we have to do more, works, detail works, all the decorative works, plasters. As you know how much work we need to do when you construct a building. So these are there. Yeah, financial support is always needed because we still have not funds for complete fundings for that. So that is there. And then concerning this Siliguri school, there are a lot of challenges, a lot of needs in order to preserve our culture and our tradition. So traditionally, our traditional values and cultures, especially spiritual cultures, being carried by within the monastic, circle in Tibet or even the Himalayan regions of Tolpo and Mustang. The monasteries were the educational centers, So if someone wants to learn something, then go to monastery and to learn. And there was no much school systems like that. So now in the Himalayan areas, many places are still the same. So firstly, there is a lack of school facilities. So even though there are some places, there are schools run by the government, which is not running properly, Those who went there, about these things. And then thirdly, curriculum of the schools are not culturally tailored, so there was a certain things that is there. And then children had to learn so many new things, which is okay. There's no objection. It is very important to learn Nepali language, Nepali culture. It is very important to Indian language, Indian culture, Hindi or Nepali or English, which is there no problem. And also science, maths, everything is very important to learn because all these young people, boys and girls, are not going to become monks or nuns. They are not going to become yogis and solitude places. So they have to live their life in this modern time. So it is very important to learn all these things. There is no doubt. But at the same time, we feel it is important to also preserve. They also should know. At least they should be taught or kind of get some information about their cultural values, spiritual values, and then also the language, So it is important, which is lacking in this, all these facilities that is available there. So therefore, not many, but several NGOs aided by Western, some Western organizations also have started such schools in Tolpo area and Mustang areas, which is very helpful and always brings a lot of improvements. Then we thought it is good to have a school where children can grow, live and grow with a certain culture, so where they can get all the modern educations, standard modern educations set up by the governments, whatever it is. So including science, maths, and all languages like that. At the same time, they should have educations related to cultural values, little bit of spiritual, some ideas of spiritualities, and then most importantly, the language they speak. So therefore, we started this project of the school in Siliguri. Siliguri is a northeastern part of India, under the West Bengal state. So it is geographically very, very important. It is connected to Nepal, 45 minutes, 30 minutes drive from Nepalese border. It is 2 hours drive from Bhutan, and 2 hours to Darjeeling, and 3 hours to Sikkim and Kalimpong, all these Himalayan regions of both India and Nepal. So, and then ethnically, Siliguri is the place where so many, people from different ethnical background and different linguistic background live. Kind of like this is like a city where all the cultural and ethnic melting pot. So, and then at the same time, it has all the modern access, transportation, airports, railways, and buses. Everything is connected, very well connected. And also now, ancient time, many years back, it was kind of neglected city. But nowadays it is becoming more and more important, especially on the culturally important city. So therefore, a lot of modern colleges, schools are being built. Of course, these old schools are commercial, very expensive schools. Generally, Darjeeling and Kalimpong area are known to have a educational hub, where there are a lot of high quality educational centers like schools established since British time. So, but they are all very expensive. Originally it was started as a charity, and then now very expensive schools. So even though Siliguri itself, there are many schools, very good schools, but all very expensive. So we thought to start a school where we can give all the modern and traditional education, and children can live there and they grow and with certain culture. And then those children who comes from all these remote Himalayan regions cannot afford to pay. So all the lodging and education, everything is free. 100% free. So that is our plan. After many years of thinking and planning and doing, and then finally in 2018 we could open the school actually, but we have to develop infrastructure and also curriculums, everything step by step. From the beginning we start school with the 4 class, then every year we added 1 class more. Now this year we have 7 class, up to class 7, 138 children coming different parts of the Himalayan region, both Nepal and India. So now we have many projects, many things that we still need to do. For example, last year we had to construct the new classrooms. And now we have to construct the hostels, additional hostel for the girls especially. Right now girls and boys are sleeping in the same building but different floor. but it is important to separate hostels, dormitories from girls and boys. So we also have a project of building this girls' hostel. And then, of course, we have to pay all the professional teachers. So teachers, this is, one side we run the hostel, for the school, and then another hand, academically we pay we employ all the teachers, professional teachers. So everything is managed by our society, which is registered legally there in West Bengal. So this is so until now, all the support, all the help, the financial situation rely on the helps and donations and supports, individual and organizations. So therefore, it is very much necessary. We need it. So eventually, we are thinking, so once it is quite well established, then we were hoping to get some bigger organizations who can adopt and to really to take a responsible for that. That is our plan. If anybody who can help and in whatever way, small, big, or whatever way, it would be very appreciated and welcome. Sorry for long.
No problem. I will find the beginning and start.
You can add if you want, this is no problem. Add or make less or more, whatever you feel like.
Okay.
Exaggerate a little bit also.